Hello everyone. Today I have a really fun and new to me fun fold card or fancy fold card to share with you. It's like a multi-panel folding card. I think of it as accordion style, but I think that's also another type of card. So you can call it whatever you'd like, but this is what it looks like, and I think we can all agree it's pretty amazing. So I will show you quickly the DSP that I used and talk a little bit about the colors involved with this suite, and then I will jump right in showing you how to make this card. Before I forget to mention, I do want to point out that I saw this card design from fellow demonstrator Leanne Griff. And she has a blog post about it I will link to. However, she used a different suite of products, and I did change this up and make it my own by changing the colors and the stamp set and the DSP pack. So just wanted to let you know this card design was mine, but the whole layout is not my own creation. Okay, so then I will turn it over so I say the right name. Get the backing so I say the right name. It is Woven Threads Designer Series paper, and it uses all of the 5 new in colors. These will be live for purchase, the DSP and the in colors and the rest of the suite of these products on June 4th when the new catalog goes live. The first is Terracotta Tile, the second is Rococo Rose, third is Pretty Peacock, the fourth is Purple Posy, and then the fifth is Seaside Spray. We do have a little bit of sad news. The Purple Posy pads have had a quality issue and they are unavailable for ordering right now. As soon as Stampin' Up! Gets that fixed and makes sure that they have a quality product to sell to customers, they will turn on the ordering for that. So right now, and probably on the 4th when the catalog goes live, they will not have the Purple Posy available yet, but the other 4 will still be good to go, and as soon as Purple Posy is ready to purchase, you will know. Clear this off and bring in the supplies. So I have already scored, and the measurement for this Whisper White piece of paper is 4 1/4 by 11, and you want to score it at 1 1/2, 3 inches, 5 1/2 inches, and 8 inches. Yes, very good. And then you want to have, this is a scrap that I have for my envelope flap. I chose a different color than, or different design than the one I had done originally, just to see what it looks like. I think that would be really fun. And then, so this one is, I always do 2 1/4 by 6 inches, and then you have just this barest little bit that you trim off, as you can see here, just this little tiny bit that sticks off. So I always cut to size so I don't have this huge piece of paper hanging off. So 2 1/4 by 6 inches for the envelope flap piece. And then the other ones, starting from smallest to largest, all of the lengths are 4 inches, and then the first one is 1 1/4 by 4 inches, the second one is 2 1/4 by 4 inches, and then the third one is 2 3/4 by 4 inches. I hope to do a blog post about this and list those dimensions for you as well. I know sometimes it's nice to have it in the video and able to go back and look without having to skip to certain spots in the video. Okay, so then I have been using a lot more liquid glue than snail, trying to see if I think that my supplies are stretched a little further by using the Tombow liquid glue. So we're going to stick with that. And then this backing is a regular card front size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So you could always write on the back too, but this is not a traditional folding card. It is just the pop out on the front, the accordion style panels on the front. So this is going to be the same size as normal, and then this layer, just a small sort of regular layer, so just a 1/4 inch less on each. It is 4 by 5 1/4. And this blue is the, ooh, I still have to get these in my head, the Seaside Spray blue. And then the neutral I chose to go with it is Sahara Sand. It says on the back of the, I love this, on the back of the insert from the DSP, it tells you the colors in it. So it has all 5 of the new in colors, and then they say Sahara Sand is going to be, some of these have little bits of Sahara Sand accents in the paper. So that will tie in very nicely. And one thing I really like about using the liquid glue is that it doesn't dry immediately. So if you want to really be sure that you have an even border all around, and be able to adjust it possibly, it's nice to use liquid glue because you can kind of squish it around before it really adheres, like so. Just kind of turn and adjust a tiny bit, push it up. It doesn't last forever, so once you get it pretty good, you just call it a day. And then the next layer is a little bit of a bigger border. It's going to be a whole 1/4 inch all around. This is going to be 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. Again, Sahara Sand. And this optional, I don't know if it would not hold as well without that squiggle in the middle, but it just seems to be nice and kind of what I see done. And it looks nice. You feel artistic, making a little glue swirl. And if your blades are getting just a tiny bit dull but not really ready to switch it out yet, I sometimes just take my nail, I do keep my nails kind of longer, and run it underneath the paper and tuck the little tiny bits of little fluffs underneath and just clean up the card a little bit. Then you can get a little bit more life out of your blades on your trimmer. Okay, and then before you start to fold all of this, I find it a lot more helpful to glue these while your scored piece of Whisper white paper is flat. Sometimes it's instinct to just start to fold and reinforce those score lines right away, but really I think it makes it a little trickier to get your paper glued down with a good even border. I'm going to move this out of the way, and this is how you want it. Middle panel and the 2 end panels, and then, you know, the 2nd and 4th blank. And we will do stamping here too, so don't forget to do stamping while it's flat and not folded as well. And it really doesn't matter which side you have up, because you're going to have to be folding different ways on your score line. Some people like to have it where, see, this is a little bit raised, kind of like the mountain side. I like to have that on the outside. Some people like to fold with the mountain on the inside. I think that with this being folded back and forth, you're going to have to fold them both ways. So it doesn't really matter which side of your paper you start with up. I really love designs like this or layouts like this card where it looks so cool and different, but it's really not tricky. Just a little bit of different scoring and gluing on in a different way, but it doesn't take a lot of checking directions or rereading or rewatching how that was done. So it's a wow effect without all of the work. Sometimes I will do that. I did a double slider card that I saw online too, and it was worth the effort, but sometimes it is nice to do something that looks super cool but doesn't take a whole bunch of extra work and effort. And then if you wanted to do some mass producing, you would still be able to do that without testing your endurance. And this liquid glue dries real fast. After you push it down, you don't have to worry about waiting for it to dry or anything before you keep working with the card. Okay, So then before I go ahead and don't take my own advice, I'm going to bring out my Seaside spray. And on the new style pads, in case you haven't used them yet, they fold straight up. There's no pushing like our old ones. You just lift it up and then push it towards you. Let me search for a second for my my stamp pad. Phew, not a long search. The woven heirlooms, the whole woven threads, woven heirlooms, the woven kind of ties all the names of all the products in this suite together. So I really like how these papers are beautiful, and they can go for a birthday or a wedding, wishing you a day of love and joy, or sympathy. Prayers and heartfelt sympathy are with you and your family. The muted tones kind of really can fit with sympathy, even though there is color, but then because of the designs and because there's color, it can work for happy things too. I really think this DSP Designer Series paper is very versatile. I'm going to make another birthday one. I've done a birthday one and a sympathy one so far. I still at this point in my life have more use for birthday cards. But I always test on my paper just to make sure. That's what we have scrap paper for. Okay. Oh, so pretty. I really like this elegant, scripty, kind of old-fashioned font. Very nice. And then I will use my bone folder. Finally started remembering that this can save my fingers. A little bit of wear and tear. I'm going to fold forward and then backward and forward again and then back again. And just because I turned it over and reinforced all the other sides of it too, just to really make my accordion pop. If you feel like you need a little extra pressing, you can always go back in and give it another run over. And then we've got our paper down and our stamping done, and now we can put some glue on the back of our backside of our folding mechanism. And now this one, it really does make sense to put a little extra glue because it's going to be all of this tugging on it, pulling on it, so you can have a little extra strength in your paper. Now the left side of your Sahara sand layer is going to get a little bit covered up, but you can still line it up from the top and the bottom just to make sure you still have a good border all around, even border. And you can test it before you really stick it down and fold it in, and you can see that that's pretty good. And then get this side down, and you've almost got it done, just to add the little rectangles or squares, diamonds, as we've turned it to the side. So I use for these ones 2 of the layering squares framelets. And this is not the original packaging. I get my magnet cards from Stampin' Storage, a separate company from Stampin' Up, but works really well for storing their products. And so there are 2 levels of straight edge and 2 levels of scalloped edge. And so the ones that I used, let me double check. Not quite there. Okay, so on the one with not the smallest center, but the second smallest center square, I used the 3rd one out. So for my blue layer, which is the middle layer of square. Should have kept this out. And then I think I just used the next size up, which should be the second biggest of the group with the smallest scallop square. And that looks right. So just to help you a little bit so you don't have to go figuring that all out for yourself. And then for this little white layer here, I use the Stitched Shapes and those have 3 different shapes in them. The squares, the ovals, and the circles. So then this one is, I think that's gonna be the second smallest. Yep, right there. And now I really love this set, this stamp set, but they didn't quite have any sentiments that were the correct size for the front. So I did dig in one of our other stamp sets. It's carrying over into the new catalog, Perennial Birthday, and I have found this one really useful. I always grab this one for masculine cards because I don't want anything too scripty, and I just used this long one on I needed just a small panel with a long sentiment, and that fit right in there. So this one has been really useful for me, kind of a go-to for good general birthday greetings. So then I chose the Here's to Celebrating You. And this one is a clear mount, and I have not shifted it over into, what's that called? Into the cling yet. You can take your extras from your cling after you've put your stickers onto your new cling stamps, and you can snip out little pieces and put your stickers on your clear mount, and then put a little bit of the extra sticky of the cling on and change your clear mount into cling stamps. Thought that was pretty cool. I saw that online also. And so I don't have the stickers on these yet, but it doesn't super matter because we're going to be die cutting it out anyways. Grab a big piece of scrap so I can do this at an angle and not worry about running out of room. And yeah, on that side. And this one I need the Rococo terracotta tile. I wanted to do something that would stand out kind of against all the blue that shows on the front. So that's why I chose the terracotta, because it kind of ties in a little bit better with the other two. Stamp off to practice. How much room will I need? Alright, I'll be off camera for a second while I die cut this. And once this new catalog goes live on June 4th, we will not have a die cut machine or a trimmer in the catalog. Stampin' Up! Has decided to go their own way and make their own version of those things. So they do not have a release date for the new die cut machine or the trimmer, but they are working on their hardest to do a quality product and not rush it and come out with something that's not quite ready. So they will be doing their best to do it quickly, but still a good quality product that they will be proud of. So as soon as we know details on that, all the demonstrators will be sharing that with their customers. And you want to remember with liquid glue too, it does spread a little bit. So I kind of try to go for thinner lines and leave a little bit of room at the edges. I used to not be a big fan of scallop, but it really, it's growing on me. And I think with the kind of elegantness of the paper, it kind of fits right in there. The straight edges might have been a little too plain and not so fun like the designs in the paper. A little abstract. Okay, now when you're putting this onto your front, you really want to remember that a large section of this die cut is not going to be anything under it. So you want to make sure you only put glue where it's going to be on this little front panel. So honestly, when I centered it, I realized that the DSP went to 2 scallops, 2 little swoops from each point. So I just thought, well, that's where I'll put my glue. And when I flip it over, I'm gonna count 2 scallops in and kind of start my glue there, and then I'll be sure that none of this glue is going to be hanging over off of the front flap. And then I really wanted to have the good coverage since this has to anchor the whole rest of it. And then adhering it, still centered, top to bottom and side to side, and only glue where it's gonna be. And then just to press that down really well, I did fold it flat to push this down. And I think we're ready to add a couple embellishments. The other in-color embellishments, or the in-color embellishments, are some really cool faceted gems. I'll take them out of the paper so you can see the texture on there. And they're lots of different sizes. When I was planning this card, it was for a team make and take, and I wouldn't have had enough of the correct size for us all to do it. And I kind of forgot that we have these sequins. I could have probably used that and then used the purple, maybe would have brought out some of the purple in that middle one, but just because I knew this would be really safe and had plenty for everyone, I did go with our rhinestones, and I liked how it kind of sticks out more when there's all this color around it. The bling, the rhinestones really did stick out nicely. So just for ease of doing this during the video, I'm not gonna pull out more sequins to try to get those on there, but I'm just gonna do the rhinestones since that's what my sample had done as well. And then I can show you, in case you haven't seen this yet or haven't seen this use of it, the Take Your Pick tool with that sticky end. It does pick up things with adhesive on the back, especially the smaller ones like this, the pearls and the rhinestones. I'm going to check my sample kind of somewhere up here. The bigger, heavier embellishments, probably you will need to use something else like your the other end of this maybe, or there's a spatula tool just to get that out, because they ones like this, the clear faceted gems, they are heavier, and so the glue that holds them, the sticky part is very sticky because these are heavier and they don't want it to pull off of the paper. So this one I found it a little bit trickier using the sticky end of the Take Your Pick tool to get it off. But for these smaller embellishments where the glue doesn't have to be quite as strong, it works really nicely. And then I had some on the inside by my large sentiment as well, and I could maybe go with some bigger ones here. Different sizes on this. And I don't press them down just in case I'm not in love with this layout and I want to maybe adjust, but I think that's pretty good. And you don't want to overthink the placement of your embellishments because no one else is going to look as closely as you. So you just kind of can place it where you think is good, take one quick glance to make sure, and then move on. Otherwise, we could spend forever adjusting our embellishments. So there is this really beautiful multi-panel card. Thanks to Leanne Griff for the inspiration, and thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.